So if this is 5 gallons, and this is, where's my white bucket? The white one was the 2-gallon. So here's a 2.5. So every minute, this much water is coming out of your shower head, typical shower head. If you're in there for 10 minutes, 25 gallons. Well, now you can start to realize why 100 gallons in a day gets there, right? Because if you include the washing machine as your share of the water, the drinking water, if you include the showers and the toilets, and it looks like we use more water in the summer than in the winter. About 80 gallons is typically a winter daily consumption versus 120 in the summer. Who knows why it's more in the summer? Yes?
Like everyone's home, no one's at school.
Everyone's home, that's part of it.
Because when you like swim, when you come back to the
You can swim and you take a shower, okay?
warm,
It's hotter. It's hotter. Sweat. Think about your house and what happens just immediately outside of your house. Water fights, water balloon fights. That's awesome. Landscaping, yes, people water the lawn. So what happens is we never think about water that we use beyond what we maybe drink. We don't think, like as we're taking the shower or flushing the toilet, of like where that water's come from, where it's going to end up going. We don't like see it. It's kind of out of sight, out of mind. And certainly with the irrigation, we're talking to a lot of groups, including like small businesses where they have the sprinklers on timers. You ever drive by the office and you see it's raining and the sprinklers running? Well, it's just automatically set to go on at like Tuesday afternoon. Well, now we're working with groups to have water sensors where the moisture in the soil would send a signal to the sprinkler to shut off the spray because it doesn't need the extra water. So there's a lot of waste that goes into water consumption beyond your control. But let's talk about what you can do at home. If you're talking about 23 of these showers, and we're assuming that there's a 2.5 gallon a minute, ballpark, how many minutes do you think the average family member is in the shower? Well, each minute, though. No, like when you take a shower, is it like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes?
15.
Okay. The military showers run like 3 minutes. I don't know how you get your hair clean and brush your teeth, shave, whatever you do in the shower, but 15 is pretty typical. Well, if it was 10, right, it would be 50 gallons. If it's 15, it's 75 gallons. 75 times 20 is going to get you up to 1,500 gallons pretty quickly. It really starts to add up. 177 on the toilet flushes we're going to hold off on because that's going to be a big number. Let's talk about the shower. There are some new shower heads. This one reduces the water by 40%, but it feels like it's the regular pressure. So this is called a high performance or high power shower head. So now these end up being about $30 or $40. Some of them have a look that's very typical, and you can adjust it between a regular flow and the reduced flow. And the idea is we want to enjoy the same comforts we've always had in America. We just want to use technology to help us out a little bit. So if your parents haven't gotten a high-performance shower head, it might be worth, especially with multiple kids and rugby players, getting one for the family. Your generation, again, can sometimes start to drive decisions that parents make, just like you influence them on holiday purchases for gifts. You can influence them on other things. Let's talk about these toilets. When you flush, the old toilets used to use 5 to 7 gallons. Most of you probably have an average one which is about 2.5 gallons. Does anyone know that they have a low flow toilet? Have you heard your parents talking about it? Now, we actually have one that's called a dual flush toilet. Does anyone have one of those? hold on, let's see, we'll answer the questions one at a time.
On the dual flow thing, is there like 2 flushes?
Well, let's start with low flow. The low flow usually runs 1.6 gallons a minute versus 2.5. And that can really start to reduce the volume down. Now, the advantage of a dual flush is, for number one, you hit the left side button and it sends only one fraction, 0.9, which is 90% of a single gallon, down the system. So it's designed to use water more efficiently. Versus number two, right side uses the 1.6 gallon. So a lot of the European countries started using these because they had issues with water way before we were even talking about it. So because we have so many resources in America, we sometimes got a little bit late to the story in terms of conservation. Now the technology is out there and they're not that necessarily more expensive than the other equipment.